Welcome to the Parent in the Know video blog for October 2015, Handling Kids and Scary Stuff. Hello, I'm Dr. Lilla Dale McManus, President and CEO of Parent in the Know. We do parenting and child social emotional assessment and reporting, and our mission is for you to have an effective and enjoyable parenting experience to support positive child outcomes. One of our initiatives is to bring relevant parenting issues to you by exploring the research and providing sound guidance. This month, I explore the research behind children in fear and how parents can best handle kids and scary stuff over the different developmental periods. Recently, I faced a common parenting dilemma when my middle schooler was invited to go see a scary movie. I asked her the title and did some investigating. It took me less than 5 minutes to say no. Am I one of those moms who's a killjoy? I'd like to think not. I've let her watch Goosebumps, Harry Potter, and Doctor Who, read novels with some pretty intense suspense, and we've hosted a number of Halloween parties with a few out-there elements. But this film was not just a scary movie. It was a horror movie complete with all the do-nots, like kid victims her own age, relatives gone bad, blood and gore, and mixed with inappropriate sexuality and the supernatural. She had, of course, the expected responses. Her friends and their parents had all seen it. It was funny. I was too overprotective, etc. I calmly stood firm and shared an edited version of the reviews. While there was a little bit of pushback for a couple of days, later on she actually seemed relieved that I had not let her see this film. This post isn't about never letting kids engage with scary stuff. Instead, it's to take a brief look at fear in childhood and then to offer some guidelines as parents face the issues that are especially prevalent at Halloween. First of all, feeling fear is an adaptive response and therefore is exceedingly normal. Fear is a psychological, physiological, and behavioral state that we as humans feel when we experience our well-being or survival being threatened, so we can handle these situations. While all of us respond to certain situations, such as being startled, with a fear reaction which is hardwired, a lot of fear is learned by observing how other people react. This is adaptive as well. Children watch the adults and older children around them to know how they should respond to situations. The situations that cause children to be afraid change over the course of their development. Infants and toddlers become fearful due to loud noises, sudden movement, strangers, and separation. As children become preschoolers, the dark and noises at night, as well as animals and monsters, make the top list. Keep in mind that due to being in the pre-operational stage of cognitive development, children under 7 believe what they see and cannot distinguish between fantasy and reality. For school-age children, they do continue to get scared of things like snakes and spiders and being alone, but now add in storms, injury, death, scary news, and shows and movies. Interestingly, this is due to the ability to now better understand reality and the subsequent dangers in the world as they move into concrete operations. However, they are still very susceptible to scary and violent images in fiction, both books and movies and TV. So we know kids feel fear, and fear is unpleasant. So what gives? Why do kids want to approach and experience fear? The answer is actually quite simple: to understand it and conquer it, and there is merit in this drive. The typical older preschooler will want to do so only in very controlled circumstances, such as going trick-or-treating on Halloween with mom and dad or older siblings. School-age kids often want to watch scary movies full of suspense, and older teens are looking for something that in their mind is not cheesy or lame. While kids have individual differences with their tolerance, in truth, most kids think they can handle more than they often can. As parents, you have a very fine line to allow your children to have some exposure so they can manage their feelings of fear and anxiety, while not allowing them to be exposed to extremely disturbing images and experiences. The latter can lead to difficulty sleeping, irrational fears, and even obsessions. While most kids will eventually get over these, other children who are more vulnerable may carry related issues with them for years. Let's now look at guidelines based on developmental periods. The following will give you a beginning awareness of how the developmental stage a child is in intersects with fear around the typical scenarios of Halloween. Please do keep in mind that children have fear about everyday scenarios as well, and as we've seen, a slight degree is normal and to be expected. However, a few children have more serious issues with fear and anxiety and may benefit from working with a counselor if unable to cope with day-to-day life. For preschool and early elementary children, be cautious about what you expose your children to that's scary. If they do want a bit of this, make it tame and mild and try to make it animated to give them some clues that this is fantasy. Expect that after watching something scary, they will be distressed, either immediately or soon thereafter, and be prepared to distract and comfort them. For older school-age children, by the time kids are 8 and older, they can handle a bit more scary stuff, but this should still not be blood and gore, and the outcome should be favorable. During middle school, this is the time when kids are pushing to establish more independence, but when it comes to scary stuff like extreme haunted houses and movies, you still need to monitor carefully. If you do say yes, choose situations with some humor to help balance the tension. In high school, if you have a teen who does seem to like scary stuff, most adolescents are cognitively and emotionally ready for some suspense, but avoid situations where the victims are teens themselves. They should still be over 16 to see extreme horror. Remember, too, that many horror films made for adults blur violence with sexuality, and that can give teens the wrong message. In closing, being aware of the best way to handle kids and scary stuff does take quite a bit of thought and effort, but regardless of your child's age, 2 basic rules of thumb can help you. 1. If you aren't comfortable, don't feel that you have to say yes to extremely scary situations and experiences for your child. And 2, many adults are really into horror and being scared, but never force a child to experience made-up scary situations like haunted houses and movies, for which they are too immature or may just be resistant due to individual differences. Doing so can lead to psychological damage. I'd like to share the references used in this piece: Hewitt and Hummel, 2003, Piaget's Theory of Cognitive Development, Educational Psychology Interactive from Valdosta State University, Knorr, 2015, Scary Movie Tips from Common Sense Media, Seyfan and Lakatuta, 2008, Grown-ups are not afraid of scary stuff, but kids are. Young children's and adults' reasoning about children's, infants, and adults' fears in child development. Steamer, 2002, The Biology of Fear and Anxiety-Related Behaviors in Dialogues in Clinical Neuroscience. And Stewart, 2007, Childhood Fears and Anxieties from WebMD. And you can find the original blog post at parentintheknow.com/handling kids' scary stuff. I'd like to tell you a little about Parent in the Know. We provide mail-in parenting role and child social-emotional research-based self-report assessments for parents of children ages 3 through mid-teens, and with a score-based report framed in the research literature. Among many, one of the areas specifically assessed is child anxiety. If you are interested in knowing where you fall on the continuum of parenting wellness, and/or if you would like to know how your child is doing with regard to social-emotional wellness, I invite you to learn more and get started at parentintheknow.com. If you are a counselor, therapist, or parent educator who would like to include assessment in your practice through us, please visit the partner program on our website. Thank you so much for taking the time to view this video blog. I hope you found it useful and that you will share it with others.